Thank you very much, Shenge, for agreeing to speak to us. We wish to just get an update. Yesterday you had met with the royal family in terms of the final preparations to lay His Majesty to rest. Can you give us details? Has anything been confirmed in terms of the burial as well as a possible memorial service?
Yes, thanks very much for giving me the opportunity. Last night there was indeed a meeting of the royal family which was attended by the king's stepmother, the Queen Mother, and other senior queens, including the widows of the king and the children of the king, brothers of the king, and some of the sons-in-law of the king. And after a very protracted meeting, the summary was that there was actually consensus that the king actually requested that he should be buried at night, as happened when his two late sons were buried, Prince Buto and Prince Letuktula, who were buried at night. And he said that buried by men only. We should be a private ceremony of the royal family. And then we were fortunate that one of the sons-in-law of the king phoned the presidency while we were engaged, because it is known that His Excellency President Ramaphosa had declared a state funeral one for His Majesty. So clearly the presidency confirmed that. Clearly then, of course, they want what is called a state funeral, but nevertheless the presidency will support what can be described as a memorial service on Thursday.
Shenge, please bear with us. I mean, this is a learning curve for many of us, as it has not happened in our lifetime that we've had a reigning monarch pass on. When you say that the burial will be handled by men only, will that be all the members of the royal family?
No, we'll have to observe the protocols of COVID. No, it doesn't mean that males. Maybe I should have said male to make it clear that I'm not saying that all the men will assemble there to bury the king. I'm not meaning that, because all the protocols of COVID apply.
And, we've been told that where the king is laid to rest becomes a secret, is not known. Is it where the king will be laid to rest? We've been told that in the past it becomes an area which is a secret, which is only known by the royal family.
No, the king will be buried at the place where other kings are actually buried, where his grandfather, King Solomon, is buried, where his own father, King Cyprian Bhekuzulu, is buried. He cannot be buried to any other spot. No.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Plain, the Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi there as the Prime Minister to the Zulu monarch and the nation. As you've heard, they're explaining to us that the family has reached consensus that the Majesty will be buried, we understand that it is going to be on Wednesday night, and that memorial service now will be held on Thursday. Plain?
All right, so the memorial service on Thursday, just to clarify from you just had that conversation with Nkosi Buthelezi in terms of who will attend the night before and the memorial service.
Yeah, he just explained to us that it is going to be the men, and he said not everybody, because they are of course going to be observing the COVID-19 protocols. So one would understand that these would be selected members or males within the royal family, and this is going to take place at night. We have heard also that it will happen around midnight or just before midnight on a Wednesday, and it's going to be a private ceremony which will be done by obviously just the men. And he said that it's not where the king will be laid to rest will not be a secret. We have earlier on when we've been speaking to a number of people that have been here to try and gauge exactly where the king will be laid to rest, and some people had initially told us that details around that are always kept as a secret, but Nkosi Buthelezi then clarifying that he is going to be laid to rest where other kings and other senior members of the royal family have also been laid to rest.
Yeah, the Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi saying that he will be buried where the other kings of the past are buried. We heard about how he's being described, the king that is, as an exemplary leader. He promoted the values of African people, said the IFP leader Velenkosini Hlabisa, he was saying that he was a champion of education. Just talk to us about where you are now and being up close with Nkosi Buthelezi. How's he holding up? How's he taking this?
Well, certainly, Blaine, it's been a difficult time for him. I go back to when he came to the SABC offices on Friday to make the announcement that the king had passed, and he was emotional when he made that announcement on one of our SABC radio stations, Ukhozi FM. The family had even said that he had not been okay that morning upon receiving the news. And again yesterday, very, very emotional when he was speaking to Amakosi, cried several times. And for him, he did say that this has indeed been a really, really hard and difficult time for him to accept that the king is no more. For him, what is worse for him, and he said that he had not expected that he would have been the one again to be responsible to bury a king. He was the one that was responsible for burying the king's father, and he said he'd never expected that this tragedy would befall him again. So certainly it has been a really, really difficult time. But of course, Blaney has to be strong. We are told that largely all the preparations, the discussions, he is the elder in the royal family, and a lot rests on his shoulders. So they're saying that despite it being difficult, he has his children have been with him. We saw Princess Phumzile and Prince Ntutuko. They've at all times been with their father, trying to assist him through this difficult time. But it certainly has been a really, really difficult time for Nkosi Buthelezi.
Just remind our viewers, Ayanda, we was talking earlier on in terms of who's expected there in Nongoma. You did mention that the former president of the Republic, Jacob Zuma, will be present there. Tell us more.
Yeah, the former president, Jacob Zuma, is, we understand, currently meeting with the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala, and the members of the Executive Committee in the province who will be making their way here today. In fact, Blaine, I'm just seeing on the right of my eye, I'm going to ask my colleague Mdu to come through. They are arriving now. They are coming through now. Let's see if we can just walk a little bit closer to them. I see the Minister of Police, Bhekuzulu, the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala, the Minister of Cooperative Governance, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. We see the ANC Treasurer General, Mr. Paul Mashatile, Executive Committee members in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the Deputy Chairperson of the ANC in the province, Mike Mabiakulu, the Minister of Health, Dr. Zweli Mkhize. Now, of course, this delegation of ministers, they are national ministers, but they also hail from the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and over the years they've had a very, very close relationship with the king. In all the ceremonies, the traditional ceremonies that have been held, the leaders that you see here today were always attending these ceremonies, and also in terms of governance. Dr. Zweli Mkhize was also the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, and we had a very close relationship and worked very closely with the King. Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma as well had a very close relationship with His Majesty. And yesterday, seeing the Minister of Police, Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi said he had to call upon the two to intervene when there was some disagreement within the family. And so that alone would just tell us how important they are, that they are called upon to come in and assist and meet with the family when there are some challenges. Glenn, I don't know if you could see, but the former president, Jacob Zuma, was also amongst the delegation that has just walked in. We couldn't see him from where we were, but he has also just walked in now. This is where we cannot go past this point, Blaine, as they move into the palace, and unfortunately we are not allowed to go beyond this point. So we will obviously hope to get them when they come out. Representing the national government, representing the provincial government, representing the ANC in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
You know, Ayanda, Deputy President David Mabuza described King Goodwill Zwelithini. Oh, you've got Lennox Mabaso there. Before I ask you that question, do you want to chat to Lennox?
Let me just quickly drag.
Right,
I know he wasn't Mr. Lennox Mabaso, the Head of Communications of Province of KwaZulu-Natal, and I know I'm just grabbing you. We are live on SABC. Lennox, thank you so much for your time. So the delegation Premier today is leading a delegation of the Provincial Executive Committee, as well as the national ministers that we see, and the former president coming through to pay their respect.
Yes, indeed, the Honourable Premier and the delegation of national ministers are here, together with the former President of the Republic. They are here to physically express their heartfelt condolences on what has befallen the nation, the tragedy, you know, the loss of our king, the loss of our lodestar as a nation. So they are here, and I'm sure they will be able to express themselves and speak to you later on once they've met with the family.
Lennox, the relationship with the King and the provincial government goes back many, many years. We know that whenever there were programs earlier on, each year, the provincial government would come to meet with the King to explain what the plans and programs of the government were going to be, let alone the fact that the King was always available as himself to the government whenever he was needed to come and assist, be it matters that related to communities, be it matters relating to political issues, social cohesion, unity in the province. You even brought him on when it came to the boosting local economies, tourism. So across all the sectors of government, the King was always availed himself to assist the government.
Absolutely, indeed, as the Premier Sisezekala described, that it is a gigantic loss, indeed, because we know that the King was a crusader of peace, a champion of development. He actually lived his life to ensure that the people of South Africa are able to guarantee development. He was a voice of reason. He was able to call out where things were not going wrong, but he was always advocating for the empowerment and the betterment of the lives of the marginalized, of the poor and the downtrodden, particularly rural development. You will see him, he's got signatures in education, he's got signatures in health, he's got his signature almost in every portfolio: rural development, agriculture, land reform, everywhere, in all the what is considered to be the key national priorities. The King always had a program, and he was leading from the front. So indeed, it is a loss that we are still yet to fathom. It is an unfathomable loss for all of us.
Lennox Mabaso, thank you so much, sir. I do apologize. He was not expecting us there, Blaine. But important to hear from Lennox there, Blaine, in terms of the provincial government, as he has outlined the importance and the role that the King played in respect in almost every department. The King would be involved. And I think one of the important ones, Blaine, is health.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, we spoke to Dr. Sibongiseni Dloma, the former minister, former MEC of health in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. You'd note that in 2009, the king made the call that all men in the province, he wanted them to be circumcised, but for it, the procedure to be done medically. And so the province of KwaZulu-Natal, when the HIV and AIDS scourge ravaged the country and the province in the early 2000s, the king was then called upon to also come in and weigh in on the matter. And he was even received commendation as far as the United Nations for his efforts in combating the spread of HIV and AIDS. So certainly, Blaine, this loss will be felt across all the departments here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
You know, Deputy President, I was just, before you spoke to Leonard, so I just wanted to mention that Deputy President David Mabuza described King Goodwill Zwelithini Bhekuzulu as a torchbearer, leading South Africa as a nation, as well as leading the people of KwaZulu-Natal out of the grip of HIV and AIDS. And he said that it gave meaning to the South African National AIDS Council. Very, very important indeed. I'm hoping to get Dr. Dlomo onto the program as well and discuss this issue as well, and the role that the king played in issues of health. Ayanda, before I let you go, so we know that from Nkosi Buthelezi, do we still have Ayanda there? Can we bring her back? All right. Before you spoke to Nkosi Buthelezi, gave us an indication in terms of the memorial service as well. So what can we expect today? The people that went in to pay their last respects to the family, will they come out and address the media? Is there any press conference scheduled for today?
Yes, Blaine, we're just speaking to Lennox then. He has indicated that once they come out from paying their respects, they will then speak to the members of the media. And so I think people that will be eagerly waiting to speak to, of course, would be the former president, Jacob Zuma, the Minister of Health, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, and Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. We also see the treasurer of the ANC, Mr. Paul Mashadile. So we're hoping that at least they will be able to speak to them and hear their thoughts on the loss of, on what this loss means to them.
All right, Ayanda, if there are further developments that you think will benefit the viewer, come back to us or get you on air and get the viewers the very latest from Nongoma. Ayanda Mhlongo there live for us. We thank her indeed. So she got the information for us with regards to when the king will be laid to rest, and in terms of the memorial service that's happening on Thursday. As you can see, the breaking news on your screen. We are still hoping to bring back into the conversation Kid Mabuto Sithole, a veteran actor as well as cultural actor.